containing all the history of the association, and this is a calendar, a token of appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Minister of Labor and Employment, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome you, members of the Central Working Committee of the Association of Senior Civil Servants, to the State House on this courtesy visit. I appreciate this good gesture, which affords me the opportunity to meet you in person. The role of the importance of the civil service cannot be overemphasized. A strong civil service is the bedrock on which good governance, policy execution, and pathways for the delivery of democratic dividends can be achieved. I am further delighted to note your acknowledgement of the giant strides this administration has made since its inception in repositioning the federal civil service for greater productivity and enhanced performance. I take note of the various milestone achievements we have listed, which symbolizes our commitment to the civil service in spite of the many challenges that we encountered from the beginning of this journey. The support and cooperation this administration has received from the civil service is commendable, for without which accomplishing these goals would have been impossible. I want to assure you that we understand the importance of the civil service in policy formulation and implementation towards the provision of socio-economic and political benefits to our citizens. This administration remains focused on strengthening the service and ensuring it helps the government fulfill its objectives. The civil service must not be seen as a dumping ground for job seekers, but must attract the best and the highest who will contribute fresh ideas and a determination to solving our socio-economic problems. The Oronsaye White Paper report, which should be subjected to immediate review to enable government to take the most appropriate decision on its general recommendation. The review is about to be completed. While some may complain about the length of time it has taken thus far, but the outcome of the various review teams would lead to some fundamental changes in the structure of our civil service, and as such, it must be subjected to rigorous review and scrutiny before presentation and implementation. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation will submit to me the harmonized white paper once it has been concluded. I have noted the requests in the address of the President of the Association, and I want to acknowledge your view on the urgent need for a general salary review in the federal public service based on the fast eroding purchasing power of the Naira because of worldwide problems of high inflation amid general economic disruption. However, I wish to urge you to appreciate the revenue constraints being presently faced by government, which is caused mainly by the activities of unscrupulous citizens through the theft of our crude oil, a major contributor to our revenue base. This is compounded by a global economic downturn as a result of the ongoing Russian-Ukraine war, which has led to the price increases, not just in the cost of goods and services globally, but also in transportation of these goods and services across the globe. You are also aware of the enormous burden placed on our finances by the coronavirus pandemic. Furthermore, let me note the significant investment we have had to make in security over the last 7 years, which means other sectors of the economy have not been able to receive as much funding as we would have liked. Only when our country is secured that we are able to proceed and take on other aspects of our economic challenges. Unfortunately, the investment in our security assets has been at a huge cost, as several decades of negligence are responsible for paying the price significantly for an ill-equipped force. However, my confidence in the Nigerian Armed Forces is unshaken, and I have tasked the Chief of Defense Staff and his service chiefs to take the war to these criminals who have made life difficult for many Nigerians. Recent reports have shown the message is now being heard, and the dividends of our 7 years of investments are now maturing. I implore our forces to continue with the current effort and determination until we rid our land of these miscreants. I also wish to reiterate that we will not allow a few criminals to have unfettered access to the nation's crude oil supply. Hence, I have directed our security agencies to speedily bring to a halt the activities of these vandals in the Niger Delta. Recent activities on our seas, where large vessels seek to hide in neighboring countries, will be checked. There should be no hiding place for such criminals, and our cooperation with neighboring countries in halting these crimes is being strengthened and tightened. The request for restoration of the payment of gratuity to public service employees who have retired was one of the landmark provisions addressed in the 2004 Pension Reform Act. Therefore, implementing your request for the payment of a bulk sum of gratuity to retired civil servants would negate the intent and provisions of the Act. It should be acknowledged that a change in the implementation of the Act will require an amendment by the National Assembly. But more importantly, the Pension Reform Act is a better designed and robust system that allows for safety of pensioners' funds and its payment. On the harmonization of salary in the public service, I am aware that a committee was set up for that purpose under the Minister of Finance, which is still working. A report is being expected to be submitted at the conclusion of its assignment, which will be studied for appropriate action. On the request for an increase in the budgetary allocation to the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, the head of service of the Federation is directed to liaise with other relevant government agencies to see how the 2023 budget estimates can accommodate an increase in the budget of Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board. Let me thank you once again for this task and to reassure you that this administration will not tolerate any policy that will destabilize the service. I therefore implore you to always acknowledge your very important role as the engine room of government, no matter the political party that is in power. This is the main reason why you must remain non-partisan in the discharge of your duties. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.